The show that is designed to give you common sense, but not necessarily common practice ways that you can stay more motivated on a day-to-day basis. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how do you know that you're on the right track. You know, maybe in life right now you have a goal or an ambition or a dream and you're not there yet. Maybe there's this thing that you've been chasing for a while and maybe you're frustrated because you haven't accomplished it yet. Maybe your income's not the way you want it to be. Maybe you don't have that six-pack yet that you've been dreaming about. Whatever it is that is the goal that you want, how do you know that you're on the right track? How do you always know for certain that you're virtually guaranteed to get to the place you want to get to? Well, in this video, I want to share with you three really simple fundamentals to ensure that you know that you're on the right track. These things are really common sense, but like I always say in these videos, common sense is not always common practice. Eating greens more than you eat donuts, as much as I love donuts, it's common sense that you're going to get in better shape if you eat more broccoli than you eat donuts. It's common sense if you go for a run more than you watch Netflix, but it is not common practice. So in this video, I'm going to share with you three ways to ensure that you know that you are always on the right track. First, I want to tell you a story. So rewind 8 years before meeting the beautiful Mrs. Grant, I was technically homeless. Now, I wasn't on the street, but I was sleeping in the back of a friend's gym in East London. Hey, Dave, look, if you're watching, I'll never forget that. I'd had a bad breakup, and pride told me to not go home to my mum's. So I decided I was gonna slum it. It wasn't really slumming it, and stay in the room where the protein supplements lived, on an airbed in the back of my friend's gym. I said I'd be there 3 weeks. 3.5, 4 months later, I eventually moved out. But the point is, in the time that I was there, I was very lucky. I got gifted a ticket to go to a seminar that I dreamed of going to for years before, and that was Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within. Great seminar, 10,000 people. It is the epitome of practical psychology. If you've never been to an Unleash the Power Within, I highly recommend it. It is like if you put personal development and Glastonbury together, that would be Unleash the Power Within. That's the best way I can describe it. It truly is a magnificent experience. And one of the most beautiful things about that experience for me, watching Tony 7 foot tall on a 7 foot stage, watching him working his magic and truly having my life transformed and seeing thousands of other people's lives transformed right before my very eyes, was a realization in front of me that probably a lot of people in the audience had. But for me, it felt like a deep knowing and a certainty that at some point in my life, I was going to do that type of work. Now, for me back then, I was like, I want to be on stage, and there was a lot of significance and validation that I needed from the outside world. So it was probably less about the supporting others and more about just wanting to be on the stage. But something inside me changed over the months after that event, and I realized that in whatever capacity, I wanted to do life coaching. I wanted to do work that one-on-one, groups of people, I didn't really care, but that was the kind of work that I was really committed to doing. And fast forward to just 18 months ago, I had the absolute honor and pleasure to deliver Tony Robbins' content to an audience of people, not 10,000, more like 100, but I got to deliver his message to an audience of people with the view to inspiring them to actually buy a ticket and attend Unleash the Power Within. And for me, that was really coming of age. That was a real full circle for me in terms of my personal development journey, that I'd got to the point where somebody would consider me worthy to deliver and speak that message. So I want to share with you in this video how to ensure you know you're on the right track, because there were times between attending that seminar and delivering that Tony Robbins seminar that frankly I didn't think that I was on the right track. You know, I didn't think that I was progressing towards that, and yet then all of a sudden I was doing it, and I look back and went, it makes sense now. When I look back on it from the point of achieving it, it makes sense. Of course, I was always on the right track, but sometimes when you're on the track, it's hard to know. So in this video, I'm going to share with you three ways to ensure that you know that you're definitely on the right track to whatever goal or dream that it is that you want to achieve. Number one thing that you're going to need to ensure that you know you're on the right track is what I call a mentor map. Now, those of you that drive will get this point. Those of you that don't drive, you'll probably get it too. that when you learn to drive, you don't do it yourself, right? You don't just go and get a car and just drive yourself down the road. No, what you do is you get an instructor who tells you when to accelerate, when to brake, when to steer, when to check your mirrors, and so many other things which when you first do it seems crazy that you can now just do it without thinking about it. But now those of you that do drive can do it without thinking about it. Some people overdo that and they're playing on their phones and stuff. But anyway, I'm not going to rant about driving. You'll send me off on one. But the point is, what you did to learn to drive is you got a mentor. In any area of your life that you want to check whether you're on the right track, what you really want to do is just find somebody who's already achieved the result you want. So many people I see trying to succeed in a certain area. I want to run my own seminars. I want to write a book. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to create this business. And I'm like, have you researched other people that are doing that yet? And they're like, no, I'm trying to figure it out myself. I'm like, why? Why not just get somebody else to just show you how it's done, right? When I want to be a public speaker, I want to learn how to speak to audience of people in a way that is engaging, authentic, captivating, empowers them to do whatever it is that I want to empower them to do, to change their life, to make that move, whatever it is. I want to seek out the best in that area. And I went and seeked out a great friend of mine called Andy Harrington, who is literally the Einstein of public speaking. Like, he knows all the underneath the bonnet of the car, every intricate scientific mechanical detail related to public speaking. I want to learn from him, right? And then there are other areas of my life. I wanted to get a six-pack and get ripped, and I went to a friend of mine called Hayden Meddy and Zach Fotheringham. Great guys who are like ripped like this wall. They're like, that's their abs, right? So you need a mentor. So the first thing you need to do, find someone who's already achieved the result you want. Next, you need what we call progress points. Now, if you were driving on a long journey from, say, London to Edinburgh, then the point of the signs on the motorway is to tell you that you're on track or not. It will be like Edinburgh, 180 miles, Edinburgh, 96 miles, Edinburgh, 43 miles, right? Those progress points tell you that you're on the right track. So you need to have just kind of small wins on the way to tell you that you're moving in the right direction. Now, I don't know what that is for you specifically, but for me, when I want to be a speaker like Tony Robbins, I went and looked at other people that were already doing that already, and I went, hey, what did you do to get there? And they told me what they did, which was the kind of mentor map. And then I did what they did, and oh yeah, I've done one of the things they've done, yeah. Went on a public speaking course, yeah. Got some speaking gigs, yeah. So I was getting progress points, so I knew I was on the right track. So you need progress points. And the last one, this is really the most important one of all, because sometimes you think you're on the right track to something and then you end up getting there and you realize that's not the destination you wanted to get to. It's what we call the internal compass. The internal compass is really you checking in with yourself to make sure that what you really want is what you really want. What you say you want, is what you really want. I'm quoting Tony Robbins again, but Tony said, success without fulfillment, ultimate failure. How many people do you know that have succeeded in business, made lots of money, but seem miserable? How many people do you know that seem to have it all, but don't seem happy? It's so important that you know that the path that you're on, that you do you check in with your internal compass, meaning it's not an outside thing. You can't ask someone else. You can't get a mentor to tell you. You need to check in within yourself to check that what you're going for is what you really want. Because if you do a check within yourself and go, is what I'm going for right now, is this still what I really want? There's people that go to university and 2 years in, they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. You need to do more of that. In your real life, you need to internally check that what you're saying that you want is what you really want. Otherwise, you'll end up being on a track that's not even the track that you really wanted to be on. So important. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful. If you have, it's common sense stuff, right? If you have, go ahead, click like, click share, tag your friends, whatever you want to do. Not for me, but because I hope that this message gets out to more people, because it needs to, because we all need to know that we're heading in the right direction. Miles more motivation, over and out. See you next time. Goodbye.